I got those extensions for the porch project all finished up, or all fixed up. I got the tabs welded on them, got them all cleaned up and everything. And we had a good day a couple days ago. Clear day, dry day, and I got out and I prepped the existing framework out there. Got the paint off of them and got them all set up so that I can put those extensions on there and get them welded on. But then the weather's turned sour here and not able to work on that anymore, get outside to do that anymore. I've been working on my pickup a little bit. I run into a little snag on it, and I got to wait for some more parts for it to work on it some more. Well, I decided I'd get out here and work on these bandsaw blades. I've got to set the teeth on all these bandsaw blades. Well, I've got it set up my tooth setter. I went and found it, dug it out, got this corner of the hanger kind of swamped out a little bit, so I got room to work. And then I had parts for that tooth setter that I had to find. I couldn't remember where I put them, of course. I got those all dug out and all ready to go on that. I don't have enough bench to set all my tools up in one spot here at one time, so to set the tooth setter up, I've got to take the blade sharpener down and put it out of the way. Well, before I do that, I've got two of these blades that I used to break that one log down into a cant. So since I've got the sharpener all set up now, I might as well get those sharpened up. It won't take much. I just run these through once each on them just to get them cleaned up. And then I'll take the sharpener down and put my tooth setter up and set all the teeth on those. Ordinarily you'd want to set the teeth first and then sharpen them, or get them sharpened if there's some damage to them or something. You might want to sharpen them, clean them up the teeth first, and then set them and then resharpen them. And the reason you do that is for the geometry of the teeth. These teeth are set, one tooth to the left and one tooth to the right, and then one tooth standing straight up, and then they repeat that pattern over and over. The ideal profile on the tooth when it's going into the wood is for the face of the tooth, the cutting face of the tooth, to be perpendicular to the direction of the blade travel. So you want the front face of the tooth being perfectly square, flat, and going into the direction of the wood travel. Well, what happens is if you set the teeth after you sharpen them, that twists the teeth just a little bit so that they're no longer perfectly flat face there into the wood. It goes in at an angle, both of them, and so it's not as efficient cutting. So the other thing that happens is when you set it, you tip one tooth over a little bit and then the other tooth over a little bit, and the raker tooth stands up straight. So the raker tooth, the tip of it, winds up being taller than the other two teeth. And ideally you want them all the same height, so that's why if you sharpen them after they're set, then you're going to get a better cut. I used to have guys bring their brand new blades to me to sharpen them before they ever used them, because they could tell the difference between how they cut new off the bench or off the shelf and how they cut after I sharpened them. So anyway, that's not what we're going to do here, because I don't want to sharpen all those teeth again. It could, but basically I got to take my sharpener down and then put the tooth setter on and set all the teeth, and it's not going to make that much difference. Like I said, you have two teeth, one goes to the right, one goes to the left, then one stands straight up, and the tips of those teeth can be set over, and it depends on what kind of wood you're cutting. For soft wood like pine, spruce, things like that, the chips grow bigger, they expand more when you cut. So and it's also softer wood, so you can set the teeth wider for cutting through them. And then that lets more sawdust go through, and that sawdust going through these blades, most of the sawdust gets carried out in the gullets here, but a certain amount of it spills through and goes on either side of the blade, and that's what supports the blade as it goes through the cut. Because otherwise the log behind it would just pinch down, and the friction on it would be a lot more, and it'd be a lot harder pulling the blade through the wood. So for harder wood, you set your teeth less. So for these, about 28 thousandths overset on them. for what the wood I'm cutting. If it's frozen or something, it might go a little bit less on them. But what happens is every time you sharpen the tooth, you take a certain amount of set out of it, because the set is on the top here, of course, at an angle, and every time you sharpen the tooth, you're taking a little bit of you're grinding some of that off, so you're getting less of a set on it. Well, that blade is done. I'll go ahead and take it off and put it aside and do that other blade. And then we can break down my sharpener and set up the tooth setter. I set my bench up here and I laid it out for my blade sharpener here, tooth setter over here, and metal shear over here. And I went down underneath there and I put some of these internal thread nuts in there in the wood, so I didn't have to keep reaching underneath there and stuff and taking everything out. I had a little trouble with that one because that one locked in there, that last bolt, and the little nut there locked onto it. So let's see what I can do with that. But otherwise, it works pretty slick for taking these on, putting these on and off. This thing weighs about 50 pounds. It's pretty heavy. It's all solid cast iron. I got this sharpener with my mill when I got it, and it's got Mite cast into it, but I did find that it's a different manufacturer that makes it, and they make all kinds of sharpeners for bigger mills and stuff than this. Well, here's my tooth setter, and I've got to have a cutout in the table here for it, so I've got it set over one of the main timbers here, one of the main braces for the shelf, to take the load on it so it doesn't flex, and then I've got a cutout in the table right there. This thing fits right down there like that. I've got these guides, these that the blade's right on. Let's see. Alright, let's set this thing down out of the way. Okay, that's kind of set up. That's the way it goes. I'm going to have to go get a couple more bolts to bolt this down with. I want to make sure I have that good and sturdy mounted down. This is the way it goes, like this. Fits down in here in this slot here, like that. The blades go. Okay, so now this, the way this works is just set this up with the two teeth that are opposing in here like this. Just squeeze this down, set the teeth, and push this, and that pushes 3 teeth by. It automatically makes up for the center one. But I'm going to have to adjust these and set these up. Every one of these blades is slightly different. I mostly buy 1 1/4" blades with 3/4 inch pitch, and then most of them have been, I don't remember, 45 thousandths thick. And of course they've all been sharpened different, so you have to adjust each one of them different. So these are adjusted so the teeth are too low below my set. I'm going to have to adjust these blocks up. And then I'm going to have to set my anvils in here till I get the right set. I want, say, 28 thousandths set from the edge of the blade each way. And that's what this is for checking the set of the teeth. So anyway, there's some more work to do here yet. I've got it set up, or started to get the setup on it now. It'd be nice if all of the blades were exactly the same and you could just set them in here and go and put the next one in and go. This is a Suffix machine tooth setter, and my wife and my kids got that for me for Christmas one year. I didn't have one before. I haven't really used it a whole lot. Anyway, I've got some more figuring to do on it. I thought I could just come out here and go to work. I came out yesterday and swamped this place out a little bit on this corner so I could work. And then I cleaned my stove out, figuring I'd get a fire going in it and get it warmed up in here, make it a little more comfortable work, get some of the moisture out of this corner. While I was working, I come out this morning and got a fire going and smoked the whole hanger up here. I had to try to figure out what was going on. I looked up and I thought maybe it came off up above up there. Let's see, that stovepipe goes up 4 sections. It goes up there 8 feet, and then there's a 90-degree elbow on that, and then it goes out another 8 feet through the wall. But the problem is the water comes in on that top and through the top, and then just lays in that horizontal section up there, and it rusted the pipe out, and it came off up there where the elbow is. It's all rotted out. So to get a fire going in here, I'm going to have to redo my stovepipe situation here. And I thought I've acclimatized a little bit here to the cold weather. I thought I could just come out here and go ahead and work on it, but it's becoming obvious that I'm going to have to limit my time out here working. Well, I'm going to have to figure out what to do with that stove pipe, get that fixed up, I guess. I wasn't going to do it, but well, I've been fiddling around with this now, trying to figure it out, and I think I've got it. And this is the measuring device here. It clamps onto the blade, and then you've got a dial indicator that fits up there. So I set this down to where I zero the dial indicator out on the face of the blade down here on this side, and then put it up on that tooth and tighten it up on that. And what I had was 15 thousandths on both sides, which is pretty shallow for the kind of wood that I'm cutting. It's one of the reasons why it's cutting so slow, I guess, and waving around and stuff. So I put it back, I put it in the machine, in the tool, and I set the teeth on it and then brought it out and checked it. And this one tooth that goes here off to the left, that thing was about 45 thousandths or something, way off. The one on the right was at 26 thousandths. So I kept fiddling with it. I just pulled this anvil back and pushed that one in a little bit, and I fiddled with it a couple times. I would straighten that tooth out with a crescent wrench. Anyway, that's what I'd put on that tooth to straighten it out, and I kept running through it. I've got them both almost now at exactly 30 thousandths, which is a little bit strong, but it will be good. If they're both exactly the same on both sides, that's fine. Well, now I can put that in there and go ahead and go through this blade and go ahead and get it sharpened up. Or not sharpened up, but tooth set on it. So now what this does, this goes in that tooth, that pushes that in tight on the 2 teeth that got a kerf on them that are set. As this push down on that, that clamps this together here, and as I release it, it comes back up, and I bring this up and go forward like that, and that automatically bypasses one tooth and puts me 2 more teeth left and right underneath there. Alright, I got a problem here. I've got a burr on the back side of these teeth. It's throwing everything off. When you sharpen these teeth, that blade goes this way, and so it leaves a burr on the back side of them. And usually I'll go through and take that burr off with a stone as I'm going over the last sharpening on the teeth, and I didn't do that with these blades here when I did it. I'm going to have to go around this blade here with a stone and take the burrs off of there so I can get accurate readings on that. So I'm just not getting good readings on it, and everything would be all messed up if I didn't fix it. So that's what it'll do. Anyway, I went and deburred this one and then tried it again. I'm still having trouble with it. I can't get this measuring device on there. It's got to go on from underneath. If I had an open area on this end of the tooth setter, I could do that. So if my bench ended there where the tooth setter is, then I could do that, and that would work a little better. But that's not what I've got, so I've got to figure something else out. I've got some old blades, like this one's a broken blade, one that got jammed up in the log for something, probably something stupid that I did. What I'm going to do is cut off a section of it and run through there to get that thing set, to get the teeth to anvils set properly on there, and that way it'd be easier to measure it. I took a micrometer and measured the blade thickness to make sure that this is the same, and this blade is the same thickness. So when I get the set right on there, I can just stick this blade in there, and I'll have to adjust the height of it depending on how tall the blade is from the bottom to the top of the teeth. That changes depending on how many times I've sharpened them. Some of these blades I've sharpened 5 or 6 times already, so they've lost some of the thickness or the depth here. Cut that off. Now I've got a nice length of blade here that's I can straighten out a little bit, and this will be a lot easier to handle with this to get this set up. I'm getting pretty frustrated with this tooth setter. I've been working on it for 2 days now trying to get this thing set up. I just can't get any consistency out of it. It just doesn't want to work right. This tooth setter, my wife and kids got it for me for Christmas several years ago, and it's made and sold by Suffolk Machine Corporation, which is the same company that sells the Timberwolf saw blades that I use. That's what these are, is Timberwolf saw blades, and the saw blades work pretty good. I remember now, I tried using this thing before 3 years ago, and I was having trouble with it too. I finally quit and bought new blades, but working on it here again now. I can't get any consistency out of the tooth set on this. If I remember right what happened before, I was getting the same trouble. Now what this is that squeezes together there. It's got springs and stuff in it, and it squeezes the two jaws together, and it's got these two anvils, one on either side, and one sets the tooth one way and the other sets the tooth the other way. And these anvils are adjustable with a screw that goes in there. They're just a piece of square steel stock. I don't know, it might be tool steel, I don't know, but it's just a piece of, actually it's a rectangular stock, not square stock, but it fits into a slot in this piece right here, in this head piece that's bolted onto the main jaws right there. And then you adjust it using the screw to screw it out and in. Well, the problem is it doesn't screw it in, it just pushes that out. And if you go over and you bring this back, these anvils don't come back with it. You got to kind of bring those back somehow to take the set out of it, and they get stuck in this head here. They don't float freely in it. And this screw screws it in to make more set, and it's got indications all the way around, a scale all the way around it there, and it says it's 1/1000ths per indication, but there's no index marks on there. There's no index mark on there. It's got a little spring on the back side of that to hold tension on that screw, but when you screw that in, the spring winds up, and then when you're not paying any attention when you're using it, the spring unwinds, and then the anvil comes back in and unsets the teeth. So it's really frustrating. I remember I had that problem with it before. I've had this where I thought I had it. Here now, 3 or 4 times I get it right up close, and then I go check it again, and then it's off, and I just can't get any consistency out of it. I'll run down these teeth and I'll get 3 or 4 of them that are good, and then I'll go 3 or 4 more that are way off, and far enough off that you can't depend on it to use. I mean, if it was a 0.5 or even 1,000ths, it'd probably be fine, but I'm going to get 3 or 4 or 5,000ths out of it, and difference in it in 4 or 5 teeth, so that's not acceptable. I want to try this again. What I've done here now, I took this apart. I took these anvils out, the screws out, and I took the anvils out, cleaned it up, cleaned these pockets out that they go in, and put a little bit of lubricant on them so they slide in and out of there a little bit easier, and cleaned these screws up a little bit and wipe those down and put them back in. So then I pushed everything back in and start over again. I put this blade in upside down, and I've set these anvils to where they just contact the blade. Well, now I'm going to go get another dial indicator, a magnetic base, and set it up and see if I can't adjust those anvils out with a dial indicator and set those out to what the tooth set is on each one of them that I want. There's no way to lock that doggone thing down once you get it out there. If this thing unwinds, if these screws unwind, then you lose your set. Anyway, like I said, it's pretty frustrating here. I've worked on it for a couple of days now, and I'm not having any better luck now than when I started, and not having any better luck than when I did it last time. Now, it's been so long ago I forgot about how that thing was, but now that I'm using it again, it's bringing back all the old memories. Finally got this tool adjusted to where it's setting the teeth right and it's staying pretty consistent. I still don't like it. I need to get some kind of a lock on these adjustments here so I can lock them, because they just rotate back on that, underneath that spring pressure. The spring on these winds up, and then it unwinds when you start using it. And anyhow, it won't set very easily. I need some other kind of a deal to set that up. see what we can do with that, I guess, in the future. But for right now, I've got it set to where it's almost identical on both sides, both the left and the right. It's staying pretty consistent as I go through the teeth. So I put this blade in here. Now this blade's been sharpened a bunch of times, and it was not as deep as the other blade was, so I had to adjust it up to get my tooth height there up a little bit. So anyway, this is all set, and I'm going to go ahead and go around with this. I'll mark this right here on this tooth so that I know when I come back out, when I come around, that this is when I first started setting it. So away we go. Now whatever I get out of these is better than what it was, because when I tested these they're only about 12 to 15 thousandths, which is nowhere near what we want for this wood that I'm cutting. It's even too narrow for hardwood and frozen wood. The minimum you want is about 20 thousandths or 21 thousandths. So whatever I do with these is going to be better than they were. I would like to try to keep the set to either side consistent so it doesn't have a tendency to dig in or climb. See, this goes pretty fast once you get it going. I'm looking at these teeth as they go by there, they're taking a set, so okay, there's one blade set. It didn't take very long. Once you get done fooling with the stupid tool. It's that one. I only got 20 more to go. Okay, here's another one. This is the last one. Done. This is 20 of them. Just in time too, because dogs are getting excited about going in the house and going to bed. Took them for their walk already, and they're wondering what the hell's going on, why we're not in the house in bed. Anyway, this one's all deburred and it's ready to go. Now, some of these didn't take much set at all. Some of them took quite a bit of set. I mean, is some of them the setting didn't change much on them at all, and some of them it changed quite a bit. Now some of that's because some of these have been sharpened quite a few times and the set was pretty much out of them, and some of it is because I bought some of these blades when I built this hanger, and I was milling up these logs for the lumber for this hanger. It was about 10 degrees out or 0 out, and the logs were froze up pretty hard, so I bought some blades with I think only like 21 thousandths set in them, or anyway just a little set in them, because I thought maybe that would help with milling up those frozen logs. I don't think it did. So this will finish up this. This will get all the blades ready. I've got the belts to put on the mill to get it running, the new V-belt put on there, so hopefully the hydraulic pump will stay running. It won't spin when I start running things on it. So when things get right, I can put that mill together and cut up that one log that I've got, finish cutting up that one log that I've got on the mill, and some of those timbers that I'm going to need for the porch. There, that one's done. Get that done. That's the last one. They're all set now. All the blades that I've got sharpened are set. That might be all the blades that I've got. More blades, but some of them are 7/8 inch pitch blades, and I don't have a cam to sharpen them. I've got a cam for 1-inch blades, and I've got a cam for the old 2-inch wide blades that this saw was originally set up for. I don't know what pitch that is. So anyway, those blades, I've used them, they're dull, and that's about all I'm going to get out of them, because it costs quite a bit of money to get a cam, and without a bunch of those blades to sharpen and to reuse, there's not much point in doing it.